Hello, and we're back with the evolving Civil War and revolution right here in America. It is going on all over the world because of certain planetary aspects and also the trends that the Socrates quantum computer system has been forecasting for a couple decades. So it's on the way. You know, Civil War happens when there's a lot of unemployment, when the economy is bad. You know, when everything's good and wonderful and we're fat and happy, no one wants to fight. No one wants revolution. We're all happy. But now we're not so much. And this trend started with the revolution, the Second American Civil War, in January of 2020. This is quite a year, and it's not done with us yet. Hi, I'm JJ from Paranormal Talks, paranormaltalks.com. We're going to read from the Socrates quantum website. That's Martin Armstrong, armstrongeconomics.com. And also we'll be citing the astrological aspects that are in play right now. We're really in for it because we have three major astrological cycles that are in play. Let me share, though, with you here. You know, we want to be safe all the time. Just keep us safe. We want to take no risks. We just want our freedoms handed to us. We want all of our rights to always be in place. We want no one to challenge them. Well, that's not the case with revolution and civil war. So give me liberty or give me death. But right now, just keep me safe. Well, Bill Gates can keep you safe right to right to death. This is a cartoon from Ben Garrison. He does a lot of really great political cartoons. And let's take a look at some other things here as far as what this Second American Civil War revolution is shaping up to be. Let's look at my cheat sheet. Here we go. Okay, so I pull from very accurate tools. That's astrology and the Socrates quantum computer system. I'll also be citing Cliff High's Alta reports, which are also very accurate. As far as events, the timing, not so much. That's always a tough part with predictions, and that's why I keep pulling from astrology, and especially the Socrates quantum computer system, is they have such a high level of accuracy as far as timing, which is extremely rare, that I just keep talking about those. So we know what is going on with us and what's coming up for us. And that'll be reflected in some of the blog articles I read from the Armstrong Economics site. So you can read this for yourself. Astrology is not a religion. It is a science, just like medicine, just like law, just like physics, all of those. And these are the trends that are in play right now. Three of them. And this is the one this video is about, the Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn. This marks the last governmental phase of authoritarianism, dictatorship, where you must wear face diapers and stay locked in your home. Better than a FEMA camp, huh? But this marks the socialism and a political system that is collapsing. Protest and violence marks this phase as socialists fight for their lives, for their continual survival. And here's the technical blah, blah. The last time we saw Saturn and Pluto together in the sky, holding hands in the sky, was from 1861 to 1863. That was the start of the first American Civil War, and also secession, a big secession of West Virginia split from Virginia, and that's in play right now. And in this 2020, it was exact January 12th, of 2020, and the quantum computer system showed that phase transition, that exact event happening January 18th. So you can see how close those dates are. And there's more. Let me give you the big picture. Here it is. Here it is. This is the big picture, we are down here in this divot right now. We have about 12 more years of this current pattern that we're in now. We go a private and then a public and a private and a public. The public is government. That's when everyone loves government and you can't get enough government. Well, private, it's not so much. And that's when people are really questioning government, which is, they're questioning the criminal activities of government that becomes so huge. It's kind of like a parasite. It begins to kill the host. That's what we usually discover in the private cycle. But down here in this divot, you see this date, 2020? Well, here we are. And then we have another crisis point in 2024 and another one in 2028. And then we have a big blowout in the year 2032. According to the Socrates quantum computer system, this is supposed to mark the beginning of the breakup of the United States as we know it, which may be the case because some people love socialism. They can't get enough of it. They want who's your daddy to take care of them in all cases from birth to grave. And then there are other portions of the population who want none of that. They want to be adults and develop their lives. Let me take you to, this is our website. Let me first read from here. This is to give you some background on the Socrates quantum computer system, its track record. This is a good basis for you because I'm going to read another article after this. So Martin Armstrong, he takes questions via his email and other sites. So this person who has been following Martin Armstrong's blog on armstrongeconomics.com, in the video link, you see the blank answer that was asked by former Fed Chair Bernanke when he was asked in a 60-minute interview as to where he saw unemployment going and peaking in the last crisis of 2008. Well, good old Bernanke, he never saw the crisis in 2008. If he did, he kept his mouth shut. Anyway, of course, the Federal Reserve, they just don't forecast. It's a big fat joke. How do you best explain Socrates' quantum computer system being able to pick up so far in advance the heights that unemployment would reach in this crisis, rivaling or exceeding that of the Great Depression and even beyond, even with this seemingly contrived virus being such a curveball out of left field, a black swan, right? Yeah, no such thing as a mythical black swan. That just means you don't know how to forecast. Your forecasting methodology is not so good. So Martin Armstrong answers, and he did. The quantum computer system did forecast this years in advance, a decade or more. And Martin Armstrong answers, it is very difficult to explain. Everything is connected. I learned with this cycle of war that the quantum computer, was picking up the subtle movements of capital well in advance. It becomes clear that if you were going to start a war, you move your money in advance. And let me tell you about that, because when I visited Ecuador this past December of 2019, I happened to show up just at the end of a big rioting across the country of Ecuador because of taxes on gasoline. And the money was fleeing Ecuador. I mean, the people I know in Ecuador, they saw a lot of the money leaving. Also, real estate, dirt cheap compared to what it was normally, because these people wanted to, a hard asset like real estate, that's tough to just grab, put in your pocket and run away. Well, you have to sell real estate. So they were doing cut rate prices so they could get their money out of the country, because they thought that the government was going down, because it's going on so much all over the world. So you see the money moving in advance. With real estate, you can't really see it. if you're caught unawares. But there's other more liquid money that moves in advance, and the quantum computer picks that up. This is what these people have been doing. Martin Armstrong is referring to these people are our senators, our congressmen, our elected people in our government, and other deep state people. He saw, because he has access to the financial markets, that's what he does, that's what he's good at. He saw that these people were moving their money in advance of the virus hitting the entire world and all the governments that were ready to execute their lockdown. I believe it began last summer of 2019. So this is what caused the virus. It's not a virus per se, it's the economy. Silly. He believes last summer in 2019, with a sudden collapse in confidence in Europe, we ended up with the repurchase crisis hitting in September of 2019, and the government people and the Federal Reserve tried to excuse it as a freak, mythical black swan event. But the quantum computer system was correctly forecast that event as well. At the May Rome World Economic Conference, Armstrong Economics, they have annual World Economic Conferences. They have one here in America, in the States, and then they have one outside the United States, someplace. It could be Asia, it could be Europe, but this time it was in Italy in May of 2019 in Rome. And Martin Armstrong put up a slide as to the key issues to pay attention to, which were: one, the liquidity crisis, which it evolved into the repurchase crisis, because banks were no longer trusting banks. I mean, banks were not lending to other banks. That's how they do business, in their overnight short-term loans at zero or negative interest rates, and banks were no longer doing that. So liquidity crisis, and then a repurchase crisis. The repurchase crisis is where the Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve, began repurchasing those loans for global banks, European banks, Asian banks, and American banks, which is serious. And then suddenly, magically, we have the virus. You will notice on slide 3 of the presentation, the political chaos and the rise of authoritarianism, that phase in a government style of doing their governing, that adds fuel to a civil war, to a revolution. The quantum computer is monitoring absolutely everything. You cannot hide from the quantum computer system. It will find you because it tracks and detects energy, all energy, and energy is money, all around the world. My job is only to relay what it is showing. This forecast is not me personally giving the forecast. Major institutions and governments call on me they know it is the quantum computer, not me personally, because who's going to trust a person to make a 90 to 100% accurate call on trends? Some of the best psychics can do that, but the quantum computer system can do it even better. No human can possibly analyze global trends with such proficient skill. Scroll up. I had inside info. Okay, so this is Martin Armstrong, who has clients all over the world and subscribers all over the world. So he has more information than a lot of the spook shops of the United States, the NSA, the CIA, all intelligence agencies, even in England and New Zealand and Australia. I had inside info that there were elites, that is our senators, our congressmen, our Pelosi's, our Schumers, all of these people who we're very familiar with, who knew there would be a virus coming, and wanted to move their money. They wanted to get out because they didn't want to lose their money. They want to make money. That was my connection. Personally, I questioned that forecast. Martin Armstrong second guesses the quantum computer trends and forecast himself because he's only human, but he questioned that forecast of how could unemployment rise so fast when even in the Great Depression of the 1930s, it took 3 years to reach 25% unemployment. Never in my wildest dreams would I have personally been able to forecast that unemployment would reach Great Depression levels and beyond in a matter of weeks, not years, weeks. We cannot make such forecasts in reality as a human being. Anyone who claims they did is a fraud or it was some lucky guess. This has never taken place in history. All I can say is that the trend can be determined by the quantum computer system because, like war, instead of moving your money ahead of an invasion, like invasion of the Mongols or invasion of the migrants into your country, this time they were doing that movement of their money ahead of the revelation that they would use this virus as a psychological tool to shut down the world economy for climate change, but use the scare tactic of the virus to create a global lockdown. Next, better to know than to be surprised. And this was published May 17, 2020. So here's the question. Some may view your blog as stirring up the masses and creating violence and revolutions and civil war. And that's serious. I mean, the bankers actually did accuse Martin Armstrong back in 1989 of doing exactly that. Yeah, wow. What a guy he must be if he can do that. Of stirring up the masses, but for me, it is calming. It is a calming force. Not that I like what is happening, but at least I know who, what, and why. And that's exactly what Paranormal Talks wants to help you with, is so you know who, what, and why, and when. Most of all, when. So you can plan your life and you know what's coming down here for you. Protect yourself and your family and your money. That's better than freaking out and wondering if everyone else is insane. This may seem naive, but he used to have other thoughts. And Martin Armstrong replies, I get a lot of information from sources around the world. I was informed of the protests being organized in Germany two weeks ago. I am careful to cover such things only when they happen. Now, why does he say that? Martin Armstrong says that because he doesn't want to be blamed for causing riots around the world. I mean, yeah, right. How can one person do that? And why would a person, if they can do that, even broadcast it? I mean, that's stupid. I am careful to cover such things only when they happen. Otherwise, yes, I could be accused of organizing them, unlike George Soros. That is not my purpose. It is to explain what is in fact unfolding, and I try desperately to ensure others I am not just spinning conspiracy theories. I have probably better sources than anyone, especially because all of our clients are on the same mindset, and we are all sharing what is happening around the world to better understand the global trends. You see, his clients are all around the world, so they are on the ground. They're not fake news. They're not some article that's being written and all of us viewing this from the confines of our home. These are people, his clients are around the world, and they're on the ground. They see the real facts. It is total nonsense that the Russian influenced the 2016 election. Governments, including the United States, try always to influence elections. That's what governments of all the countries do, and the United States is best at it, especially with our CIA. All the propaganda put out by the various news organizations is never questioned by their core readers. which some of us call the cattle, because they are incapable of thinking for themselves, as cattle are not. They believe what they want to believe. I have explained that the independent forces account for probably 10%. That can increase with exposing the lies, but only when the believers are confronted with the realization that they have been stupid sheep or cattle. That is the tipping point that can be determined cyclically. You see, all of these changes in government and civil war are cyclical. It is far better to understand what is unfolding, for it does bring calm and some peace. You can then watch it unfold. We are in the last 12 years period of this cycle. And that's the graph I showed you with the private phase and the public phase. This is how the West falls. The Western government collapses. And part of that is civil war. The British Empire fell. The people survived. Not the government, but the people. When the Greek empire of the heroic period fell, the people migrated because the climate changed. When Rome fell, it split into many pieces, and the separatist movement led to individual city-states. This is not Armageddon, the end of the world, or a mythical black swan. No, this is a cycle. This is just the end of the political system. This is the end of the democratic and Republican system. The Democrats are going first, since they're more corrupt and naughtier and being caught for more than the Republicans, but they're both going down. And unfortunately, this virus, climate change nonsense is deliberately trying to destroy the economy. They have no idea how to create the world they think needs to be created. They are ending capitalism to be replaced with tyranny, the authoritarian dictatorship cycle that we are in. They will not succeed, but this will come at the cost of blood in the streets, which will vary depending on where you are. That is, where you live in the United States. I can't speak for Europe and Asia and South America. Read the news for yourself, but it will depend on where you live. And Q has mentioned this also. Depending on where you live, you'll know how safe you will be. Just look around at the neighbors. If your neighbors are deep blue Democrat people, you may not be as safe as you would like, because socialists, Democrats who are socialists, tend to be the most violent. Look at Antifa, very violent, destructive, they kill. So they will not succeed. So it depends on where you live. The Midwest and the South will stand against California, the socialist state of California, the deep blue socialist state of California, and New England, the New England area, the deep blue socialist area of New England, the stronghold of the Marxist believers, Marxist, communist, socialist. In Florida, anyway, he talks about Florida. So where you live will definitely be critical during the next 12 years. And if you do live in a deep blue socialist neighborhood or state or town, do prepare with your own goods and double locks on the door, because those people get mean and nasty. That's historical. That's not an opinion, that's historical. So that is the update of the ongoing and evolving Second American Civil War. This is JJ from Paranormal Talks, and we'll be talking to you later. Bye.